I'm going to call the meeting to order for the October 25th Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority meeting. Monique, if you will call the roll.
President Baker.
Here.
Vice President Thompson. Secretary Duffy. Director Anderson. Director Flores.
Here.
And Director Kirkland.
All right, thank you. And just as a reminder, you have to hit the button to turn the little green light on if you have something to present. Anybody signed up to speak?
No, sir.
All right. Moving on to number 4, approval of the minutes. Consider approval of the BCRUA meeting minutes for September 27th, 2023. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Secretary Duffy. I have a second by Vice President Thompson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, minutes pass. Brings us to number 5, staff reports. Consider staff report from the general manager regarding the Phase 2 Deepwater Intake Project.
Thank you, Mr. President. It has been a while since we gave an update on Phase 2, the deepwater intake. So there's a lot happening, and we want to give you an update on that. And also with the tour coming up, so you'll know what you're going to see. So Aaron Archer, the Vice President from Walker Partners, our engineering firm, is going to give you a presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, can you guys see the slide deck?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, like the last update, I want to start kind of giving you an overall status of where we are on the project right now. We did have NTP in June of 2022. So we're more than a year into our 5-year construction duration, about 28% of the way through, with a final completion date of April 17th of 2027. And currently, I'm happy to report that construction is on time. Actually, it's ahead of schedule at this point, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. On a cost basis, the original contract value was just under $225 million, and invoiced to date, and this is from a period back, is about $73.5 million, or 32% complete, and happy to report also that there are no change orders on the project. Looking at the cost and schedule basis of the project another way, I've got a cost curve here with time or the date on the x-axis and dollar amount on the y-axis. And we've pulled the gold and the blue curves from the contractor's construction schedule. And so the gold curve is kind of an early work completion date, and the blue curve is the late baseline date that the contractor has provided. And we're tracking on the green line, which you can see is tracking very near to the gold curve or the early completion curve on their schedule. And the primary reason that we're tracking close to that early curve at this point is that the tunnel construction has been proceeding ahead of schedule. And I'll tell you some more with some pictures in a minute. So what I want to do now is give you an update, and I'm going to update you based on work site. And so we've got a work location at the pump station next to Cedar Park plant. We've got another major work site at the end of Trails End Road, over there where the transmission tunnel connects to the Phase 1 pipeline. And then we've got a work site over at the maintenance building in the intake. So let's start by looking at the pump station site. The last update that I gave you, the contractor was preparing to start mining of the transmission tunnel. So that's the tunnel that runs from the pump station site across the lake to Trails End Road, and it's about 3,000 feet long. Since that last update, the contractor has completed mining of the transmission tunnel, and you can see a photograph of that tunnel off to the right, along with the rail system in it to haul muck back and forth. They have also started at this point installation of the liner for that tunnel, which is a steel pipeline. In fact, they put their first few pieces of that steel pipeline down into the tunnel this week. They also then removed the tunnel boring machine from the transmission tunnel and flipped it around to start work on the intake tunnel. You can see some of the pipeline in the photograph to the left, the blue pipe. It's a 78-inch diameter pipeline, and there is quite a bit of pipe or material stored on hand at the site right now for construction of that liner. I'd also wanted to report that the contractor did have a lost time incident on construction of the transmission tunnel. about a month ago, and so the contractor has been working hard to reinforce the importance of safety with their crews and their miners underground. Staying at the pump station site, when they flipped the tunnel boring machine around, they started working on the intake tunnel. So that heads the other direction out towards the two lake taps that we have for our intake system. And they've been mining at this point on average, and they keep in mind they do two-shift work. So they're working the majority of a 24-hour period. But they've been achieving about 200 feet per day with that tunnel boring machine, which is a tremendous amount of mining in a 24-hour period. And you guys probably recall, we talked about the quality of this limestone rock. It's excellent for tunneling, and they've been able to achieve some really great production on those tunnels. And that's why the project is ahead of schedule at this point, because the critical path does go through the tunneling, and the tunneling is ahead of schedule. They anticipate that the TBM will arrive at the intakes in early November. So next month, within a matter of a few weeks, they will have completed that 9,000-foot tunnel out underneath the lake. And again, you can see some photographs here. On the left is the starter tunnel, which is connected to the main shaft and the suction chamber. So this is something we'll be able to see in the site visit. And then to the right is a photograph of the switching station, where they have the opportunity to run two different muck trains back and forth in the tunnel for muck removal at that location. So let's jump across the lake to Trails End Road. This is still a very active construction site. They had previously completed the shaft at Trails End Road and grouted in place the riser pipe vertically in that shaft. And now the contractor is working on preparing for the open cut construction in Trails End Road right-of-way to connect the pipeline coming out of the tunnel to the existing Phase 1 line that is already located in Trails End Road. In anticipation of that work, they're putting in some temporary storm piping and working on relocating some of the pavement when they open cut the road. They're also continuing to use this site for marine staging to support their intake work, but that's becoming increasingly difficult at this point as the lake continues to fall. If you look at the photograph in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see a bulkhead or a wall that they constructed when they started this marine work, and it's, of course, high and dry at this point because the lake has fallen dramatically. We do anticipate lake levels kind of leveling off here through the winter months, but because their main bulkhead ended up dry, they're now picking things with their crane off of what is normally a submerged cliff to put piping and other materials on barges and ship it out to the intake. And once they load them up on those barges, you can see in the upper right-hand corner, we've got a pinch point there to get through some fairly shallow water by Sandy Creek Marina. So they can continue to use this site, but it has some limited utility. At some point, they're going to have to demobilize when they're done with the intake. And when they demobilize, some of that large equipment they're going to have to pull out of the lake at a different location. So the contractor is working on that. Over at the intake site, the contractors completed a great deal of work and some of the most complicated work on the project in the last month. They have installed the vertical riser pipes in both of the lake bed shafts that had previously been drilled. And you can see some photographs of these large 8-foot diameter stainless steel pipes that they picked up and they tripped vertically and then dropped down into the lake bed shafts and grouted in place. They were able to complete that grouting from the maintenance building on shore there in the village of Valente, which was something that we had previously negotiated with Valente was an activity that would not be done at that location, but the contractor approached Valente and Valente agreed to allow them to do that. So that was very helpful for completion of this portion of the project. Currently, they're getting ready to attach the remaining intake sections. So there's a grouted portion in the lake bed, and then they will attach the upper section that's in the water column that the screens will ultimately be attached to for the complete intake system. The screens aren't going to be installed at this time. They'll come back in the future and get those installed. But here by the end of the year, the intake system, less the screens, should be completed. And then on the adjacent maintenance building site, in addition to using that to facilitate construction of the intakes, they're continuing to do some site work on that site with some large diameter and deep buried stormwater pipe before they move back to working on the maintenance building. So looking forward, a few things I wanted to highlight. First, of course, we've got our November 15th site visit that I hope everybody can attend. We'll have an opportunity at the pump station to go down the 300-foot main shaft and go into some of the underground works at that location. And so that'll be a very good trip, and kind of rain or shine, it really doesn't matter because you're far underground at that point anyways. 6 months forward, we anticipate they will have completed mining of the intake tunnel. They will have completed the installation of the liner system, the steel pipe for the transmission tunnel. The intake riser pipes will also be done, and they'll move over to starting to install the individual pump shafts at the pump station site that pumps will eventually be suspended in. So that's another shaft drilling operation. And the contractor will continue to work on the maintenance building. On a cost basis, looking at the contractor's schedule, we anticipate in the neighborhood of about $50 million of cost incurred over the next year, which cumulatively would take the project up to about $125 million. And I also wanted to report that we've made some progress with PEC on the permanent power agreement, which contemplates the final section of power improvements needed to bring power to the pump station site. It'll take power from the nameless substation, which will be upgraded, and then it's about 4 or 5 miles of overhead lines to go connect into the temporary power project that was previously completed over at Trails End Road. So we're working with PEC on that agreement. We've also got PEC's engineer, M&S Engineering, and they're working on a scope and fee proposal for final design of that project, which we anticipate getting in front of you for the next board meeting so that we can get the final design process going. And on the land acquisition side, we're down to 3 final easements for that property. And those 3 easements are on the southern route that we had talked about quite some time ago that connects that route from the intersection of Nameless Road and 1431 over to North Rim Drive. So we've been working with those property owners to finalize that alignment, and we're currently starting negotiations for that property acquisition, which will complete property acquisition for the project, which I think has been ongoing since about 2018. So it's been a long road. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Good information. Thank you. Any questions?
I had one for you, and if you can't answer, I understand for security reasons, but can you talk a little more about the loss incident with the?
Yeah, we have some reporting on that, but apparently one of the miners ended up in a pinch accident between some equipment, and so they did have to be transported to the hospital for care.
Okay. Thank you.
Director Flores.
So thank you for the update. Outside of the securing the last 3 parcels of land, is there any other big unknowns or concerns about the project going forward? And then my second question is, any feedback from the local residents or neighborhoods about the project, and how's that being handled, or how's that going?
Yeah, land acquisition is always something that the schedule is a little bit hard to control. So I am anxious to get that process going so we can finalize those acquisitions. They're very large properties, unlike some of the small properties we dealt with on the rest of the project. So that'll be a process. But I think we've got ample time to get that completed, get final design done and construction completed before we have startup activities beginning in 2026. Otherwise, right now, the contractor's been, I think, doing a good job in maintaining their schedule. We got the DRB set up, I know, which we have talked about a few times in the past, and that's been kicked off. And so I think we're collaborating well with the contractor out there and staying in regular contact with them. Now, your second question, I guess, was about public feedback and
Just neighborhoods, the residents,
Yeah, I know from time to time that we have received some phone calls from the village of Valente just wanting the contractor to slow down vehicles moving through the neighborhood, and the contractor's been very responsive on that. You know, they end up with maybe new concrete deliveries and drivers that are not familiar with the routes that we specified, and occasionally they need to go in and clarify the approved routes for those guys to move through the village, and that they need to slow down on residential neighborhoods. But I'd call it fairly routine type of complaints, and the contractor, I think, has jumped on those pretty quickly.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, well, appreciate that. And just to follow up on that question, what's the one thing that you would foresee could slow this down? If it's not weather, would it be, breaking equipment or delay in equipment being delivered? What's the, I think I asked this last time, but if you were.
Yeah, right now on most projects, what has been a real problem is some electrical gear. Fortunately for this project, because we've got this big duration up front where we're focused on tunneling, we have a lot of time to procure some of that long lead time equipment that's causing other projects that I'm involved with to slow down or have to extend their schedule on the backside. So that's a real benefit for us on this project. I don't see that jumping in and becoming a problem for us because we have been receiving those submittals from the contractor. They are working on moving that equipment forward. So I think they're doing a good job of anticipating the issues that could pop up later and trying to address them now.
Good. All right. Well, thank you. Good report.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, that brings us to resolutions. We will take I'll call up 6A, but if you want to go ahead, Gary, come on up and talk about 6A, 6B, then we'll vote on them separately. Let me read 6A. Consider resolution by the Board of Directors of the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, Inc., authorizing the issuance of Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, Inc., City of Park, Texas contract revenue bonds, Brushy Creek Regional Water Treatment and Distribution Project Series 2023, establishing the procedures for selling and delivering the bonds and resolving other matters incident relating to the issuance, payment, security, sale, and delivery of such bonds. Good evening.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Gary Kimball with Specialized Public Finance, here to talk about the two individual financings. I'm going to start with Cedar Park, if that's okay, because it's a little simpler. The Round Rock issues are a little more complicated and take a little more time. Cedar Park is doing one issuance of $7.605 million. We locked in the interest rate last month at 3.22%. That compares very favorably to what a market rate would be at the equivalent time would have been a 4.29. So that's a function of the SWIFT program with the Texas Water Development Board providing a 25% benefit to the market at the time of pricing. We calculated the net present value of that difference in the two interest rates, the 3.22 versus the 4.29, and that equates to $950,000 worth of present value benefit. So on a 20-year financing of $7.605 million, pretty significant benefit. The better news is that we did lock in back in September. Rates have done nothing but go up since then. So an equivalent current market rate would be closer to 4.50, and you're getting a 3.22. So very pleased with the outcome of this. This is a process that kicked off last December. In terms of the discussion about the application to the Water Development Board. Submitted formally in April, got our approval in July. We made a presentation to this board back in I think it was late April, about where we were in the process. Everything worked smoothly. Rates were fixed in September, and so this is the final action of this board to get the Cedar Park portion funded. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has anything about the Cedar Park portion before I move into Round Rock.
Any questions on this item? No. All right, go ahead and talk about Round Rock.
So the Round Rock piece is a little different in that it's an installment bond issuance process. So what we're doing, we received a multi-year commitment from the Texas Water Development Board for what amounts to $90.45 million worth of financing for Round Rock's piece. We're taking that down in installments. The first installment for this year will be $41.75 million. The second installment will be $31.5 million. That'll take place next year. And then we're actually going to skip 2025 and take the final amount in 2026. in the amount of $17.2 million. So the total is just under $90.5 million. So we aren't able to lock the interest rates for the 2024 piece and the 2026 piece until we get to the September roughly pricing date for those two series. But we have locked the 2023 piece. And for this one, we have a rate of 3.72%. It's a little higher than the Cedar Park piece because it's a longer-term financing. So instead of the 20 years that we had with Cedar Park, Round Rock chose to go 25 years. And with a 25-year deal, you get a little less of a subsidy compared with market. So the equivalent market rate for Round Rock would have been a 454 versus that 372. Still translates into a lot of savings. So we calculated the net present value of the savings for this first installment, which is the only one that we have locked interest rates on. So it's the only one that we can give you a hard number on, but it's over $4.2 million worth of savings by going through the SWIFT program versus taking this financing to the open market. So pretty significant. As an estimate, using some pretty conservative assumptions, we went ahead and tried to calculate the present value savings going to SWIFT versus the open market for the entire 3 series that Round Rock plans to do, and it's $8.3 million. So obvious advantage to making application to the SWIFT program for this financing. Other than that, I really don't have anything to report, but would be happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on item 6A or 6B? Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you, sir. And so, all right, I'll entertain a motion to approve 6A.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to approve by Vice President Thompson, a second by Secretary Duffy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, 6A passes. Let me read 6B. Consider a resolution by the Board of Directors of the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, Inc., authorizing the issuance of Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, Inc., City of Round Rock, Texas Contract Revenue Bonds, Brushy Creek Regional Water Treatment and Distribution Project, Series 2023, establishing the procedures for selling and delivering the bonds and resolving other matters incident relating to issuance of payment, security, sale, and delivery of such bonds. Any other questions on 6B?
No.
Seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
All right, motion approved by Secretary Duffy, second by Vice President Thompson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. All right. 6C, 6D, again, we'll take those up together as well. Karen, if you want to present on 6C, let me read 6C. Consider resolution determining the competitive sealed proposal is the delivery method which provides the best value for the BCRUA for the BCRUA delivery points improvements phase 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have been talking with you about the BCRUA delivery project, delivery points project, which will improve the BCRUA to be able to manage all the delivery points within the system. We are at a point where we are putting it out for proposals, and we are proposing the competitive sealed proposal procurement method for selecting the contractors. The rules in the government code require that if you want to use the competitive sealed proposal method, that requires action by the governing body to allow that use, which is why these items are here before you today. We prefer the competitive sealed proposal method over a simple competitive-based pricing, because it also includes a mixture of qualification-based selections. And we feel that this not only gives us better results, but brings better contractors to the table for their proposals. BCRUA previously used this method for the Phase 1C water treatment plant and raw water intake, as well as the Phase 2 deep water intake project. And so we recommend we do this again, given the complex nature of the delivery points project. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions on item 6C?
No.
All right, entertain a motion to approve 6C.
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Vice President Thompson, second by Secretary Duffy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
6C passes. Item 6D, consider resolution determining that competitive seal proposal is the delivery method which provides the best value for the BCRUA for the BCRA Delivery Point Improvements Phase 2. Anything to add to that?
I would just say that it should say final project, but we do have an interim project, which we're calling Phase 1, that will be, that's the project we're doing as quickly as possible, but there'll be another, some more improvements later once we are able to procure the equipment that will be brought to you early next year that we're calling the final project.
All right, very good, thank you. Any questions on item 6D? All right, entertain a motion to approve 6D.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion to approve by Secretary Duffy, second by Vice President Thompson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
6D passes, thank you. All right, item 6C, consider resolution ratifying the action of the City of Round Rock to hire Sam Roberts as the General Manager of BCRUA. Michael, I believe you're presenting this item. Good evening.
Good evening, BCRUA Board. As we found out at the last meeting, our current General Manager, Karen Bondi, who has been with us for 5 years, announced that she is retiring at the end of the year. So we really appreciate Karen in her service to the BCRUA. She's done a fabulous job, well-deserved retirement, and we'll celebrate her at the next meeting most likely. But thank you, Karen, for your years of service. At the last meeting, we had an executive session with the board talking about how do we move forward. At that time, we discussed going forward with negotiations with Sam Roberts. We have, the board authorized the operating committee to move forward with that. We have done that, and we have come to an agreement with Sam, an offer agreement with Sam. He will be an employee of the City of Round Rock because of the way we're set up, but he will obviously report to the board and work for you guys. But Sam, we're really happy that he has agreed to join the team again. He's been with the BCRUA since its inception in the early 2000s and been a great asset to us. Worked for Cedar Park for a number of years, retired in early this year, and has agreed to come on as our next general manager. So he brings a wealth of knowledge. Very happy that Karen gave us a good notice, so we were able to talk to Sam, and now we'll have just a seamless transition. Sam's first day, tonight, the board will ratify and approve the decision for the City of Round Rock to hire General Manager Sam Roberts on behalf, or for the BCRUA. That'll be the action item, but Sam will start November 12th. Then he'll work with Karen from November 12th to the end of the year, and then he'll be solo starting January 1st. But like to present Sam to the board and be happy to answer any questions.
Hey, Sam, you want to come up and have anything to add?
Good evening, y'all. I can't tell you how good it feels to be back in here, and I really look forward to the opportunity to take on the role as general manager of this really important regional water system. I've had a little time to think about it in the last couple of weeks, and I can promise y'all will get all of my experience, all of my knowledge, and all of my passion for this project to continue the charge, which is laid out in the master agreement. It's really kind of 4 prongs. The charge of what we're supposed to do, and that is to design, build, finance, and operate this great regional water system. And so anyway, thanks for y'all's consideration of this tonight, and I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I'm really glad I'll have some time to work with Karen. We've already talked a little, and it should be great.
Any questions of Sam or Michael? Well, Sam, I'll just let you know that, we hate to lose a good person to gain a good person, but we're very blessed and fortunate that you are interested in doing this, and we're excited to have you come on board, and we know you're going to do a good job, and if there's anything you need from us to make you successful, please let us know. So thank you for being here tonight.
Matt.
All right. Entertain a motion to accept Sam Roberts as incoming general manager. Item 6C.
Motion to approve.
And second.
All right, had a motion approved by Vice President Thompson, second by Secretary Duffy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, congratulations. Thank you, Michael. All right, that brings us to 7, Director closing comments regarding items of community interest. Before we go down the line, once again, I wanted to bring up that Monique is here. And so we mentioned prior that, she's not leaving us, but she is kind of changing assignments, and I guess you'll be here for backup from time to time, perhaps, too. So, but we do want to recognize you for your service tonight, since you're here. And so we have a little bit of a plaque that I'd like to read to you for tonight. And I'll read this, and then we'll do pictures here at the end of the meeting. But this is presented to Monique Adams, BCRUA Executive Assistant from 2007 to 2023. And you were here for the very first board meeting, correct? So from the inception, in recognition of your dedication and efforts on behalf of the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, a regional partnership of Cedar Park, Leander, and Round Rock, your service to the board and staff is greatly appreciated. So congratulations. You've been very instrumental to this group, and obviously did a lot of work in keeping this group organized, and even tonight, just seeing the scramble going on. Thank you so much. So any comments from anybody else for Monique?
Just thank you for welcoming me in the first time I was here. I really appreciate your positivity, so thank you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you for keeping us organized, and when things don't get signed, you somehow get it to us, or, we get that taken care of. And then she found some paperwork from like years ago that missed, during COVID. So we got it all squared away. So that's excellent. So Devetta's got big shoes to fill, so.
Yeah, we're excited to have Devetta, but not at your loss.
Yeah.
But we know you're still around, but thank you for everything you've done for this organization. And directors, if you would, after the meeting, let's take a picture with Monique and present her with the plaque. All right, I will start to my right. Director Kirkland.
I think one of the great attributes of this organization is the tenure and seniority, not just across the staff, but also the members on the board that have brought us to this point. And everything flows so seamlessly. Thank you so much for all your service, because this is a very difficult, very large project, so with that, have a wonderful evening.
Okay. Secretary Duffy.
Just thank you to everyone, and kind of off of what Mel said, it's great to see the tangible pieces. Like, we've talked about it in design, and now there's things on the ground. So I'm looking forward to the tour. I don't know about going that far underground, but
I'm with you.
I got all y'all with me, so I'll be okay. So
Awesome. All right, Vice President Thompson.
Good night.
Director Anderson.
Thank you and good night.
Director Flores.
Welcome, Sam. I'm glad you were able to take this on, and I'm glad we're able to complete your dream of working for the city of Round Rock. So, but good night.
And I'll just remind everybody about the tour. So if you haven't RSVP'd, if you plan on going, just let them know so they can get a head count, and hopefully we'll see you all out there. So, and thank you, Karen, for tonight. So with that, we are adjourned.